Welcome to the Mom Owned and Operated Podcast, the podcast about moms and for moms, where we have candid conversations about running a business, raising a family, and remembering ourselves. I'm your host, Rita Suzanne, a single mom of four, digital strategist, and provider of no-nonsense business strategies and tactics. Hi, I'm Rita Suzanne, and today I have my guest, Dr. Lulu, with me. I am so excited to chat with you today. I cannot wait to get deeper into this conversation. Please tell everyone all about you, your family, and your business.
My name is Dr. Lulu. Thank you so much for the opportunity to hang out with you. I can't remember, did we meet at the podcast? Was that where we met?
No, I found you in a Facebook group and I was like, I have to chat with her. I have to meet with her.
Okay. I was going to try to start from there, but I guess not. I do get a lot of people like we were talking about before we started. So I forgot to ask you before we went live. You're welcome to edit that part out. But so I'm a pediatrician, retired. And actually I said to myself yesterday, I'm going to start leading with, I'm a life coach so I can get that identity into my head. Because once you're a physician, after for such a long time, 34 years, that's all I've known. So my brain always defaults to I'm a pediatrician, but I really want to start saying I'm a life coach who is a former pediatrician because I don't really practice that much anymore. I retired 4 years ago, and I work almost exclusively with parents of LGBTQ plus kids. However, I'm also an educator in the LGBTQ space and an advocate for the queer community as a queer person myself and as a mother of a young adult who's also transgender. So my life, my mornings, my afternoons, my nights are pretty much soaked in all things LGBT advocacy. And that's it. I'm Nigerian by birth. I'm an immigrant, I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm a radical. I really, truly, and I don't know if you cuss on your show or not, but I have no fucks to give. I ran out of fucks when I turned 55 years ago. So these days, I just tell you how I feel with love, but how I feel nonetheless. Growing up as a woman in Nigeria, in a Black country that's very patriarchal, very misogynistic. I mean, that's all you hear. Women are seen, not heard. Children are seen, not heard. It's a man's world. There's a whole song about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so you grow up diminishing yourself just nonstop. And it was my interview with Oprah that was when I said, you know what, enough of this. I was kind of low-key, not trying to hear that anymore, but Oprah was like, what do you mean you have imposter syndrome? You're a leader, you're gallant, you're a trailblazer. I'm like, I am? She's like, yes. And I was like, okay, I see Oprah. And so we all need someone like that who sees the good in us, the best in us, the better in us, and wants us to shine. And so now I'm unapologetic in my queerness, in my mamahood, in my entrepreneurship, in my empowering of other women, and all the things. So yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting that us as women, we often need somebody else to kind of push us up and say, hey, you're great, right? Like we always need somebody else to, especially with imposter syndrome. And when it comes to business, we need somebody else to say, why are you doubting yourself? Why are you even, feeling like this? And,
the reason we need people to tell us that is because it was people who told us we couldn't. I think no human being can exist as an island. We are, whether we like it or not, by nature, social people. We need other people. I mean, we're not, even cats who are not very friendly animals compared to dogs need their owners. They need each other. So because the trauma, the initial inciting agent was caused by a person, it makes sense that it also takes a person to make us feel better. No, you don't have to have someone to tell you that, but willpower and just will is so weak that Everyone I know is still trying to get on a diet. Everyone I know is still trying to lose the same 10 pounds, right? Because willpower is just not easy. Okay, you know what? All right, I'll have a bagel, just this once. Or I don't have to exercise today, I'll exercise tomorrow. Because willpower is not as strong as it is. And for those who are Christians, even Jesus got tempted, maybe he didn't cave in, but he went there, he got to the edge. And so I think harnessing the inside human of all of us is important. We're not robots. A robot can stand right here and not move for 30 years, but human beings will move. We need each other. So I think because the initial trauma was caused by maybe a parent, an aunt, it was my aunt that told me I was going to go to hell if I told anyone that I liked girls. It was my dad that told me, being LGBT or liking girls and boys, which I told him was a phase. It was my mom that told me not to say it again when I said, I think my child is gay. So it was people that started that. So I think it's important to understand the power of other people, which is why coaching is so powerful, because coaching is about having someone who says, I think you can do it. Here's how. And, or better still, how do you want to do it? And I'll hold you accountable that you will do what you said you're going to do, because we know that, we're not strong, especially entrepreneurship, especially in that realm. There's a lot of mental health struggles and suicide, as a matter of fact, in women entrepreneurs, in male entrepreneurs. I mean, this Zappos guy was a big news when he died by, I think it was suicide. It was just a random house fire in his little penthouse apartment. That doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And so we must not overlook the fact that as human beings, we need each other. So
yeah. Well, yeah, mental health and mindset and all of these things are super important in entrepreneurship. And I think you always say that, if your mindset isn't right in your entrepreneurship journey, it's going to be a struggle for you to even be successful in your business at all, right? And that's why it's important to have coaches or to have accountability partners or other people alongside you, because like you said, it's hard to do it by yourself. And you could be so into your self-care journey, but having somebody else come beside you, and I know even for me, like having somebody else, even on those times where I'm like, questioning myself, and then having somebody else come and be like, you're great, you're awesome. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, I get to hear that. Yeah. I mean, let's just put, because sometimes we can talk like in a vacuum, but let's bring it down to people that we know. Mm-hmm. Oprah is arguably one of the best entrepreneurs, but Oprah has a coach. Michael Jordan was one of the greatest, but Michael Jordan has maybe more than one coach. Serena Williams, Simone Biles, all the greats, Michael Phelps, they didn't just become greats. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, they didn't become great on their own. They all had a coach. And I used to take kickboxing and I used to teach kickboxing. So I know that even the best boxer, when the round is over, goes back to his corner. What is his coach telling him? His coach is telling him, you can do it. You got this, even with the best boxer. So I need us to, again, remember that no matter how bad you're feeling, somebody tells you, chin up. Words matter. So willpower is good. Mindset is good, but it's not enough. We all need a cheerleader on our side. That's why a basketball team has a cheerleading squad. I mean, not because the girls are not going to play the game, but they're there to tell them, we got you, keep going. A little toddler who wants to take the first step, when the child falls, the mother doesn't say, you deserve it, you should fall. No, the one that said, oh, you know what? You did great. We all need a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. So that's why when you're, like you said, when you're feeling down and someone tells you, you got this. When I was in Nigeria, I didn't know the phrase imposter syndrome when I was a younger version of me. As a matter of fact, when I opened my first practice, I didn't really recognize that that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this thing called negativity bias, which is where your brain seeks to catastrophize everything and go for all the, yeah, I mean, I got 98%, which is a straight A, but I got 2% wrong, and I'm focusing on the 2%, right? So it's just that tendency for us to catastrophize. You get hundreds of positive comments on your post, and you got two that say something negative, and you're focused on those two. So it's that same negativity bias. It's definitely an upward hill battle for everyone every day to stay in that positive. And so when you have friends or neighbors or coaches or colleagues who hold your hand and say, you know what, I got you. We need that. We all need that.
If you don't have a coach or someone else, are there some strategies or techniques or anything that you recommend that someone would do in order to help kind of counteract those negative thoughts that someone might be kind of dealing with, that negativity?
I think self-awareness is key. Awareness is everything. You know when to. There's a song that says you've got to know when to hold them, when to run away, when to stay. It's true, but that's self-awareness. That's knowing yourself. When is it to thine own self be true? Now, anybody can have the self-belief and have even the willpower. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be the greatest boxer. That's good. But with that, you got to train like crazy, right? So knowing that this is what I want, but this is how I'm going to get it. And so if you don't have a coach, you don't have a friend, there are books out there, right? There are podcasts out there. But all of those things will still stop at the door of self-awareness. Self-awareness in the sense that, are you able to be truthful to yourself enough to say, listen, I need help? And then where can I find it? When my child told me that she was transgender three years ago, I laid in my couch for 3 weeks in fetal position, just feeling sorry for myself, or woeisme.com and all that. It was the same me that said, you know what? I can't be the only one who's going through this. There must be other parents out there. Let me go find them. And I couldn't find anyone. So I started a Facebook group. And I said, okay, well, there's this Facebook group. If you're a parent, you come on in or whatever. So, but I had to get to the point where I was like, laying on this couch is not going to help me.
Yeah.
That's self-awareness. And then, okay, then what do I need to do next? Or better still, who do I need to find? And so one of the books by Dan Sullivan is called Who, Not How. It's one of my favorite books. Who, not how, because we're taught in school. The premise of the book is like we're taught in school to figure out how to solve the mathematical problem, how to climb rocks, how to do this. But what he's saying is, why don't you just figure out who can help you figure it out? Because we need each other. So coming back to how, not that we should depend on people, but just recognizing that there's someone out there who can teach me how to do this.
Yeah.
So let me find the person. So
yeah, I love that. So when your child came to you and you decided to try to connect with other parents, was it hard for you to find other parents to connect with, or did you find it like after you created a Facebook group or a group or something to connect with them? How did that work? How did that happen?
I mean, we're 4 years, 3, maybe 4 years strong now. I'm about 2,000 parents, or about 2,500. Then my own Facebook account, my personal account got hacked. And so I was out for, 3 years. And then I came back last year. I was like, maybe I'll get another Facebook account. It's hard, period, to find anyone in that realm today because there's just nobody knows who to trust. It's not, so it's hard. It's harder to find Black parents.
because there's so much
Yes.
not accepting.
Yeah, I mean, the culture is really toxic, is really homophobic, is really anti-LGBT. Religion is a big deal in the Black community, and religion, as we know today, is for the most part still anti-LGBT. And just culture, and between culture and religion, I mean, that's pretty much it's right there. So the Black community, but in America and outside America, are still heavily mentally colonized. It's still heavily mentally colonized. There's nothing wrong with Christianity. I was born and raised Catholic, but there's something wrong with cultism. So Christianity is functionally a cult. A cult is a group of people who have the same way of thinking. And you can't really grow when you have group think. We need diversity of thought to grow. We need that. And that means allow the short people to speak, allow the tall people to speak, allow the light-skinned people to speak, allow the dark-skinned people to speak, allow everyone to feel like they belong and they have a say. If somebody feels threatened, they don't belong. If someone feels less than, they don't belong. If someone feels that they need to fit in, they don't belong.
Right.
And I learned about the fit in from, I don't know who, Mel Robbins, I think. I'm not sure if it was Mel that said something about not looking for where to fit in, because fitting in means you feel squeezed. I'm just going to get in here because this is the space that I can get in. But really, it should be about a place where you can just soar in all of you. And religion, as we know it today, doesn't allow that. And it's not just for LGBT people, it's for women as well. I mean, I'm Catholic. Today, women can still not be priests in the Catholic Church. Why? I mean, where did that rule come from? What makes, if you go into schools, women are more academically gifted, women are more of everything than men. Yet we have a society that's 90% of leaders today are still men. So what are we saying? If academically and emotionally women are more superior, what's wrong with the system that is still saying women should wear a hijab and cover their whole face, that you can't see them except they can't even, their eyes, they have to have a net. Now again, come back to religion and who makes the rules? Men. So it's very entangled, to say the very least. If it's not LGBT today, it's women. If it's not women, it's children. If it's not children, it's blue eyes, it's hazel. I mean, the Amish, just same thing. It's just all these rules that we're making for each other. I mean, at one point we have to, I don't know if we're ever going to go deep and look into where did it first come from.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be very hard for the child too, right? Because a lot of times the parents are abandoning them, right? Because they're not really agreeing with their choice or their lifestyle, right? And then I feel like that's probably that's a big issue too, because then they're left alone, and then the parents, the parents feel justified based on their, I guess, cultural or religious beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two things that you said incorrectly are choice and lifestyle. Neither of them is correct. Neither of those two terms are correct, but people use it all the time. The choice that the child made is to tell the parent.
Right.
The choice that the child made, or rather the decision that was made, was to choose to tell the parents.
Right.
But I always go back to ask people who are heterosexual, when did they make the choice to be heterosexual? What is the heterosexual lifestyle? We know for a fact that majority of LGBT people are actually bisexual, like me, right? And so I was living with my ex-husband. I was married for 13 years. And to everybody else, it was a heterosexual couple. But was it though? Because I'm not heterosexual, I'm bisexual. And so let's go back to, when did you, whoever is asking the question, calling it a choice, calling it whatever, even the parent themselves, if you go back as far as their knowledge, my dad told me he thought it was a phase. That's another thing that people say. Now let's just go back. My dad only knew what he knew because he's not LGBT.
Right.
And so if somebody is not LGBT, they cannot have a say. If you're not Black, I don't care if all your friends are Black, all your children are Black, everybody in your neighborhood is Black, you're still not Black. So you can never have a say about Blackness. Same thing with queerness. If someone is not queer, you can think all you want about what you think it is, except the person who is, you don't have a say. And so I keep coming back to even my own child who is transgender. I don't have a say because I'm not transgender. I don't know what it's like to be transgender. And also, as a being of sound mind and body, I know that no one in today's world will say, let me see, of all the things I can be, I want to be transgender. Because it's fun, nobody is attacking them, they're not getting killed, Yeah, that sounds like something I would choose.
I get what you're saying.
Right? And so, but it's life and death for these people. If it's not suicide, it's homicide. If it's not homicide, it's homelessness. If it's not homelessness, it's multi-drug abuse. If it's not multi-drug abuse or multi-substance, or what they call polysubstance abuse disorder, because that's the new term. If it's not that, it's being sexually assaulted. Oh, I'm going to fuck you straight. I'm going to, make sure that I'm going to rape you so you can know what it's like to be with a man. Nobody in their right mind will see this quote unquote easy way over here. No, let me take this hard way. No way. And so I know that when parents choose to not affirm their kids, because at that point it's a choice, choose to affirm their kids, I have to believe that they don't know any better.
Right.
That's why I help those who do want to learn. Everyone is not my client.
Right.
A parent who does not want to affirm their child is not my client, because my business is to help parents who want to affirm their kids. And so I show you how to start and how I started. But if you don't want to, then we don't have a conversation. Now, I feel bad for the child, but I can't help everybody. No matter how good Amazon is, it's one of the most successful businesses in the world, everything is not on Amazon. There's still some things that Amazon doesn't have. And so you can go to Amazon, but you won't find it there. And so I want the people to understand that the parents who do want to, I can help you, because what I do is help you go back to your own self. Where did you first learn about the LGBTQ plus community? Was it from an LGBTQ plus person, or was it not? And if it wasn't, then we're back to square one. Then neither of you know what you're talking about. So here is this child who is indeed LGBT. Now, I'm not saying your child should teach you, but I'm saying your child will show you that this is not something that a lot of parents feel guilt that maybe they did something wrong. Well, the truth is your child will still be gay, whether this particular child will still be gay, whether they were born by you or born by another parent. The child is designated gay. And so whether they were born by Suzanne or Dr. Lulu, they will still be gay. So it's not a Suzanne thing. Then again, a lot of times parents are themselves LGBT, as a matter of fact, but they've not been able to live authentically. And so they don't want their child to live authentically, because that was me.
Right.
a lot of people they'll go to their graves as LGBT because coming back to religion doesn't allow them, or, whatever, custom. Luckily for us, the next couple of generations, the Gen Z, the millennials, the Gen Alphas, they are more tolerant.
Mm-hmm.
They are more accepting. They are almost all queer. I mean, the last study that was done in 2017 said 52% of millennials and Gen Zers are actually not straight. And the reason we're seeing that is because representation matters so much that the more you see something, when you have color in your hair, it's because you saw someone who had color in their hair. You didn't just imagine it. You saw it. And so that's representation. So I see someone who's living out loud as gay. I'm like, you know what? I'm gay too. That's why the Me Too movement. Me too. I was also assaulted. Me too. I'm also gay. And so the next generation, they see more. So you end up, that's how it grows. And that is why today there's all the anti-LGBT, well, really more anti-transgender laws. But once upon a time in the 70s, it was anti-gay laws. Like you couldn't even be gay. So we have to see how history always repeats itself unless we learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so once upon a time, gays were not even allowed to be gay, which is why the whole Stonewall thing happened in 1969, the year that I was born. Stonewall happened in 1969. So now, okay, y'all can be gay. In fact, y'all can be married, but well, you can't be trans. So there's always, well, you know what, women, you can't even have abortions anymore. Like there's always someone, if you go back and trace the origin of the laws, it's not women, right, that are saying women can't have abortions. It's not LGBT people that are saying people can be LGBT. It's not trans people saying people cannot be trans. So why do they feel threatened? They feel threatened because they themselves cannot live authentically in their own lives, whether it's as gay or as whatever. And man, I mean, we go back to kindergarten, the little boy who picks on the little girl, it's usually the boy who likes the little girl.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how to tell her he likes her. So he's going to make life miserable for her. But that's not the way. It shouldn't be that way. You should just pluck up courage and tell the girl, and if she doesn't like you, she doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Or make yourself likable, right?
When you say you were in the fetal position and you were, for that moment, trying to reconcile what was going on with your child and with yourself, is that correct?
Because I knew that the society was going to think I groomed the child because I'm queer myself. And I know that I'm queer myself. And so I knew that was going to be the automatic. Number one is that, well, she's a single mom. Oh yeah, she definitely somehow, son, let me show you how to be a girl. Like, yeah, I have nothing else to do. Let me teach my child how to be gay, right? Like, seriously? Or number two, they're going to say, or really, truly, because I knew that the world is very, very anti-transgender women, especially Black transgender women. I was like, oh my God, I don't want this future for my child. Because that's all parents. No parent is like, yeah, sure, let me go put my child in kindergarten. No, you put the child in kindergarten, but you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Are they going to get bullied? It's a normal reaction for every parent. Whether it's fear related or going to kindergarten or going to prom or going on a first date, it's all the same thing. All parents think the same, especially a parent who's Nigerian, coming from a world where it's so frowned upon. Not that America is pro, because people forget that. Oh, you're Nigerian. How is that having a child who's trans? I said, oh, you're American. How is that having a child who's trans? Doesn't matter.
Right. But it's different. I mean, culturally, it's different.
Difference. Hatred does not have a difference.
True. Very true.
It's maybe people in a different land, different location, but hatred it's the same. It's the same color. It's a dark, ugly, brown, ugly, I don't know the color, but for me, hatred is an ugly gray. It's like it's not clean. So
Right.
it's not different. And I know people think that in my country, as a matter of fact, we don't have guns to just walk into a mall and shoot people. So no, I feel safer in my country in a sense. Because they don't just walk up to someone and just kill them because, all the trans women you hear that are killed are usually shot. I've never heard of one trans woman that was shot in Nigeria. So it's safer, actually. But people don't want to think that. They want to think, it's Africa, so it must be worse. No.
Dangerous, right.
That's why I go back to reducing it to just the word hatred. However you manifest the hatred, whether it's by shooting someone that's just walking down the street being themselves. Somebody was stabbed 17 times for twerking at the gas station. That didn't happen in Nigeria. That happened in New York. So I want to remind people, it just happened that person was Black and gay.
Yeah.
So that's why I was in fetal position, because the world is not safe for my child. I can't protect my child.
Yeah. That's, it's very scary, but I'm glad that you were able to transition from that and just turn it into something that was able to help other parents. And you're now in a place where you stopped being a pediatrician, and now your focus is on helping other parents. And you have a podcast, you have a podcast coming out.
Yes, I have a podcast called Moms for Trans Kids. We've been doing this for about 8 months now. We have about 32 episodes, which is why I'm thinking 8 times 4 is 32, whatever the number is. So we have about 32 episodes. We're on episode 33 this week. So we do have a Moms for Trans Kids podcast. But also, just kind of going back to what you said, I think I decided a while back that I can help one parent at a time, or I can help a bunch of parents at a time. And so the Facebook group was part of that dream. But now, like we're talking about before we went live, I'm focusing a little bit more on LinkedIn, and I've gotten about half a dozen corporate gigs through LinkedIn where organizations are asking me to come and actually teach the organization. And I like better. Number one, it pays better, but number two, also I can come and teach them how to be allies.
Right, like a broader awareness.
Which is kind of funny, not for the queer people only, but for their parents as well. Because you see, you don't know until your child tells you that you're a parent of a queer child. Yeah. And so everybody who's listening to me today is like, oh, well, that's not me. You don't know. Because what LGBT people have done is they've mastered the act of hiding their true self. And so anybody could be a parent of a queer child. And so I figured by working with the organizations, I can help them just understand what does it mean for your child to be LGBT? Because I used to be that child. Yeah. And then what does it mean now for you to be a parent of that child? Because now I am you, the parent of the child. So I figured I could do that broadly without anybody having to raise their hands. I am a parent. There's no need. I'll just talk to all of y'all to know what to keep an eye out for. What do you do and how do you make your home safe? Right. So that your child can tell you. Because my child didn't tell me till they were 22 because my home was not considered safe by my kid. And what your child considers safe is different from what my child considers safe. In my home, I made sure that every time we were watching America's Top Model, we were like, oh, why does he have to be so gay? Or why does he have to be so... So when your child hears things like that, in your mind, you're not thinking you're saying anything, you're just making it for fun. But not if your child is gay.
Right.
It's not gay to them. So that's what I mean. So, and then other people might be, oh, religion, oh my God, this, that. And your child hears that, and they're like, ooh, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to go to hell, or I don't want the Bible thrown at me. I don't want to get kicked out. So again, every home has the potential of having a child who's LGBT. Every home. So my job is to show you the things to say, the things to do, how to think, such that you are creating a safe oasis for your child, or maybe even for your spouse. I met Holly a couple of months ago. Holly is in Pennsylvania at the conference that I spoke at. Holly came out to her wife after 39 years of marriage.
That had to be hard.
Wonder, yeah. Came out as transgender to her wife after 39 years. To this day, they haven't told their daughter yet because they don't think their daughter is going to take it well.
Right.
So I don't know what well means, or their son, one of them they haven't told one of their kids. I don't know which one, it doesn't matter. But I just use because Molly literally came out, and it's just like, I've known since I was 5.
Wow. I can't imagine. I can't even.
Imagine. So the safety is not only for parents of a queer child, it could be for the wife of a queer person. It could be for the husband of a queer person. I met a lot of people. Once you start doing the work, it just starts opening up. I spoke to someone who has a podcast last week, and they were a child of a pastor. The most Bible-thumping homophobic pastor ever. And so they haven't seen their parents in years.
Wow.
So it's not
because they already know that their parents aren't going to accept them.
Yes.
Right.
So
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by it has to be hard, because their parents are just they already know their parents are going to turn their back on them. Just before they even make that decision to say anything, they already know. Right. They just, and that is probably what brings that fear and in why they hold it in for so long. And that has to be really hard to live with.
Yeah. One of my friends, now you see, now you understand why there's an uptick in mental health. There's an uptick in substance abuse. There's an uptick in running away. There's an uptick in suicide. Yeah. Because they're not, it's very difficult. I mean, just imagine, for someone who is not LGBT, obviously, there's nothing I can use to compare.
Right.
But the best way I can compare it to is a woman who is married in an abusive home and cannot live. Because technically, that's what it is. It is trauma. And there's no other way to explain it except you are with this person and you are a prisoner, because that's what it is. And the only way for you to understand it is to literally be the person. But the next best thing is to be able to imagine that you're the person living in this, in a cellar somewhere. I don't like using the word coming out. I prefer using inviting in. So my second TED talk is about that. Just talking about how you don't really have to come out to anyone, but you can invite people into your queer world if they earn the invitation. And therefore, you reserve the right to rescind the invitation. And therefore, you reserve the right to upgrade them to VIP. You are the host. It's your party. And that way, the queer people can have a different way to look at their queerness as a beautiful thing. And you hand out invitations only to people that deserve it. And so I didn't deserve to know, because I was not safe to my kid. Even as I was living with my ex-wife at that time, we were not completely oblivious to this transgender thing. However, I knew in my heart that my kid was probably gay. As a matter of fact, I asked her, she was like, I don't know, I'm not sure, Mom. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. But I knew in my heart, and you know, that's the self-awareness, right? Come back to self-awareness. You know in your heart. You can lie all you want, but you know in your heart, the heart always knows. Yeah. So, I mean, that's all I got, honey.
I love this. I think it's such an important topic, because I think that, like you said, there needs to be more allies. People need to really accept other people for who they are, no matter who they are. And that comes from
accepting your own self. That's the only way to accept somebody else. I have to first accept myself as I am.
Correct. And I love every part of that. And so tell everyone where you are, how they can find you, and how they can stay in touch with you.
So my practice is called Dr. Lulu's Coaching and Consulting Lounge, and it has 3 branches. The first branch is the Pride Corner, which is a practice. It's a coaching and consulting practice. It's gender and sexuality affirming coaching and consulting. So that's the one that I work with families, helping them navigate their thoughts about being a parent of a queer child, their thoughts about being a family of a queer child. How do you navigate that? That's Dr. Lulu's Pride Corner. Then I have my ABC program, which is AllyBridgeConnection program. That's the one that I work with organizations to become allies, to build a bridge to their LGBT employees, to the parents of LGBTQ that are employees, helping them basically shine. Because you see, if I don't think my place of work is safe, I won't bring my child to work.
Right.
If we have gendered bathrooms, which bathroom is my child going to use? If my coworkers are openly homophobic, I'll never bring my kid to work. So what I'm doing is helping them recognize that they can be allies for the parents who are employees. It's an employee retention tool, it's an employee acquisition tool, it's an employee attraction tool. If I know that that organization treats LGBT people right, so I know that my child is safe in the organization. And then the third one is Allies in White Coats. So I'm all about allyship. So my Allies in White Coats program is my favorite one, actually, believe it or not, because I work with medical students and residents and physicians and healthcare professionals. So Allies in White Coats. So I have 2 adjunct professor positions where I teach at medical schools, helping the residents understand what it's like to be the safe person for their patients, because there's a huge health inequity. There's a huge health inequity in the queer space. As a matter of fact, last week I made a post on Facebook and I came under attack by in a doctors group, because some of the doctors in there were like, well, is this group now an activist group? Well, and I'm like, wait, if you think an innocent post from a pediatrician who is queer, whose child is trans, is a work of activism, then great, because you should be an activist for your marginalized patients, period, And then yesterday, one of the people in the group said, I'm openly transgender, a doctor just like me, and it breaks my heart to read some of these comments. Another doctor, transgender. So again, it's about safety. If your doctor's office is not safe, even your employees who are queer will not feel safe. It's not even only about your patients. So it's a big, far-reaching, I think I'm trying to be bold and do everything, but believe it or not, each of those 3 branches of my business are intersectional identities that I hold. I have a company of my own, so I fall in the ABC program. I'm a parent, so I fall in my Pride Corner program, and I'm a physician. And when I went to medical school, like I said, I wasn't taught anything about the queer community except there's a mental illness. They were mentally ill. So I couldn't come out, if I must use that word, in medical school because, oh my God, I was in Nigeria. I'm a girl. Are you kidding me? So there's a lot to be said about deciding to do this work now. I can't believe that there's time. Every moment I waste thinking about it, there's a child who's thinking about jumping to their death. Every moment I waste thinking about it, there's a doctor misgendering their patient, and the patient is never going to come back. Every moment I spend wasting time, there's an employee being bullied for being gay. So I wish there were more people like me.
Yeah. That's why it's such an important conversation to have. And I appreciate you taking the time and coming on here and being so open and really just sharing your story. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm going to put all of your information below, and whatever I can do to support you, please let me know.
I appreciate it. I mean, this is plenty. This is the start. I usually tell a story because I also dabble in comedy, and I tell a story where when my child was very young, I told my mom, I said I thought the kid was gay, and my mom was like, "Oh my God, get the holy water," because we're Catholic. And then as the child was growing, I started asking God. I said, "God, why me? Why me? What the fuck already? Like, really? Of all the things you could give to me is a gay child? Why me?" And then God said, "Why not you?
Mm-hmm.
Why not you? You say you're self-proclaimed speaker, author, all these things. Why not you? Who do you think I'm going to send?" So what I say is, God and I decided that since I'm going to do the work, God will send me people like you and other people like Rita and Joburg or whoever to help me spread the message, because we need each other. Like we said at the beginning, people need people.
Yeah.
And so you coming into my sphere was not a coincidence. It needed to happen so that I can get the word out to people who listen to your show. And so as far as I'm concerned, I said to God, okay, I'll do it as long as you promise me I'm not going to do it alone, because it's a lot of work to do.
Yeah. It's a lot to put on one person, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you again. It's been
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.
And there you have it. I want to encourage you to remember that being a mom who runs her own business is not easy. We all struggle, but just keep moving forward and don't forget to make time for yourself. As moms, we are usually the first thing to go to the bottom of the list. If your business is overwhelming you and you need real solutions, not just some sugar-coated suggestions, apply to work with me at ritasuzanne.com/apply.